Well, howdy.
Hello, everyone.
My dog is snoring fiercely in the background. Don't know if y'all can hear her.
My little dog is right by my feet. So cute.
She's making me jealous. I had a terrible night's sleep, and then I couldn't even nap today. Like I tried to, and I couldn't nap today.
Sorry.
I
I
hate
hope you
when that
sleep well
happens.
tonight. I had trouble falling asleep last night, so I'm a little tired too. But I still got 6 hours, which for you would be like, I don't know, the best night's sleep ever. I mean, you still sleep at home.
Six is pretty good, you know.
I usually sleep 8. So
I need eight. Like I
mhm.
have to have it, and I try to get it, but it doesn't always work out.
I'm a pretty good sleeper, I would say, for the most part.
Well, lucky you.
No. Hi,
Yeah.
Zanny.
She's so excited to see you specifically.
Well,
And
so
it's acceptable that I'm also here.
it's acceptable.
Cool. 4 to 6 hours a night, Brooklyn says. Oof.
Broccoli, that's
Well,
not enough sleep. You need more sleep
mm-mm.
than that. Congratulations, Jenna, on your first day at your new job. I hope it's going well. I don't know if you're home yet, though.
She's not home yet, as far as I know. I didn't hear her come home, but she should be on her way home. She works in the office. She worked in the office today. She works from home tomorrow through Thursday, and
Okay.
back in the office on Friday. So
You
mostly
guys
work
need
from home.
to set up another little office because
But
you guys
yeah,
need to
we
do
are
that.
actually because we're cleared out the back room, and
Yeah,
I just ordered her. Well, I her dual monitor mount came in today, yesterday, and then I think
nice.
tomorrow her two monitors are coming in. So, and she'll
Nice.
have a docking station. She'll have the dual monitors, or even a third monitor if
Nice.
she.
I just ordered a new docking station because Jake said that it would change my life if I got this one, so I just did it.
Has your life changed?
I mean, it hasn't come yet, so I don't know. I mean,
Do you
it's
feel
coming
like your
tomorrow.
life's going to change?
Well, no, I don't think so, but he says I need it, so because I'm
Well,
thinking of getting yet another monitor.
um, I recommend it. Seriously,
Then
two
I
monitors.
have a 34-inch one, and I have another one, but I think I want another one. So
Yeah.
those Excel books get really big, and I need 3 of them open at a time.
Oh yeah.
So Bex, I got the Anchor. It's made by Anchor, and Jake says it will change my life. It was expensive. I don't know that my life is going to change, but he says it will. So.
What, I don't know what is so life changing about a docking station. If you had one, prior that
Well, the
you,
one I had was not working very well.
well, I mean, if
The
it's
thing
if it's
is
not working, then yes, a new
when I
one will
have
change your
multiple
life.
clients, I have to switch between laptops. So I have a personal laptop, and then I have two client, maybe two or more client laptops.
Oh, God, I
So
didn't even
like
think about that.
I have to be able to switch laptops really easily, and it's a pain.
Oh, that would irritate the hell out of me. I would use the same. Like, do they make you use a client laptop? I would
Oh my
use the
god!
same
And I
one.
don't, I don't, I would prefer to use their laptop because there's proprietary information, and
Yeah, I get that.
I'm privy to a lot of like technical information and clinical data. Yeah, so I prefer to not use my own machine. Sometimes I do, depending on the client, but generally not, especially if for bigger companies. So yeah, I always
Hmm.
have multiple laptops. But anyways, so Jay, where is Fat Kitty? Fat Kitty is asleep on the couch. I'll go get him later. Very tired.
Yeah,
Very
and everyone
tired.
send positive vibes to Brooklyn and her dog Thor.
Yeah, poor
Not
Thor.
doing
He's
so
got
hot.
a heart condition. Oh,
Yeah,
poor dog. Such a good dog.
such a good doggy. He
Yeah,
really is too. He's a nice
he
dog.
is. Well, what are
So
we talking
we have to make more plants out of the plants we have. How do we do
We
that?
do. So we have to farm. So I have these two tanks, and I have a brand new tank. Dun 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 dun.
Look at that.
Quick glance. But that's not really a farm because that's a
That's
brand new
escape.
aquascape.
Yeah.
But I can farm like crazy in these.
Mm-hmm.
But we have alternate ways to farm too, not just in our tanks. Stephen has a dedicated farm tank. And maybe one of the mods would be so kind as to put the link to Stephen's video where he talks about his plant farm. We have such good mods here.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And this is the plant farm video was taken last night actually.
Yeah. It looks great.
It's
Look at all
it's
that
full.
biomass.
It is full. And yes,
So cool.
there's like all the coal guppies, and then there's some Bosemani rainbows, there's some killifish,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
This might as well be a farm because I have so many Cryptspiralis out of control. But I know someone who's setting up a big tank, and I think she might want Cryptspiralis, so I haven't been.
Yeah. My
So
90 looks the same because I'm waiting on that same person.
it's a disaster. But so this, in some ways, is a farm because, like, I have a lot of crypts going, and I have a lot of other things that would be nice to escape that you just can't buy looking that good. So I mean, maybe we should talk about why to farm. So
To save you money.
to save you money, that's a great. And when I was a grad student, I did farm plants because I was so poor. Also, a lot of plants you couldn't buy them. You could only trade for them because someone knew someone
Who
who could get
collected it
plants
somewhere.
from Europe, or they got it from
Mhm.
Europe, and then they started propagating it, and they would trade it among friends. So like that was the only way you could get it. And there was this brand new plant in the hobby called HC, Hemianthus calitrichoides, and if you could get $10 per patch that big,
Oh Lord.
that is an easy plant to farm.
Uh
I could make a little money that way, and I had no money at the time. So that was nice. But so, yeah, save you money is a big one. You can even make a little money.
make a little money. I mean, just think like just looking at your tank, your 90, how much would that cost if you just bought all those plants outright to just
Well,
stuff that tank?
I did spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
And the
I
thing
know
is,
that
too,
you
like,
did, but
you cannot get crypts this good looking
no.
from a company. So, but no, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But I've spent a lot of money on plants. So it does save you money to farm them. So that's one reason. Another reason, quality. I mean, there's nothing like homegrown plants that are
Yeah.
grown submersed, that have been lovingly grown with CO2, taken care of with nutrients. There's just nothing like it. Also, you have more biomass because you can get all the stems you want instead of just like some crappy looking stubs.
Yeah.
And the quality is just so much better.
Oh yeah,
And
I've totally become a plant snob, even when buying plants now. Like when I see people doing the unboxing of like, here's some potted plants of like a little short, stubby, immerse grown plant, and they're all proud of like selling that plant as though it's good quality. Like, no, you didn't do anything with that plant.
a
You
lot of
bought
those
it
are
from a
going to die.
farm.
A lot of those are going to die back. And
Hmm.
you know, it takes work and some skill to bring
Yeah.
that back to life. Whereas if I get a plant from Stephen, I know it's going to do well because it's been grown underwater.
And our water is so similar
Our
too.
water is very similar, but even if you send it to someone else, it's going to
Mhm.
do better.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I gotta loop this other video.
uh-oh.
Always forget that. There we
So,
go.
and another reason, and this is something I found interesting. So, there's a video on Green Aqua's channel from Josh Sim, who is probably the best aquascaper in the world. It's like a 1 hour video, and Brooklyn loves this video. And I like it too. It's very good. But one thing he mentions, so he only has 2 show tanks for, you know, he's like an IAPLC winner. He's a big guy. So he has 2 show tanks. Then he has 4 other tanks for farming. So he has 4 tanks farming to support 2 aquascapes. You know, and that way he has all the stems he wants. He has all the Anubius he wants. So, like behind me, I have this giant, giant patch of Anubius nana petite. It took a year to grow that out.
Yeah.
Buy that much Anubius would be probably like, I don't know, $300-400, and I could never get a piece that big.
Right.
But since I've been growing it myself, I have it. And that's one of the secrets to his success is he has a lot of quality, and you know, it's going right from one tank to the other. He just doesn't get any algae because his plants are just ready to go.
Yeah, I mean that's how you also make sure that your aquascapes, the 2 displays you have, look like immaculate all the time. So you're not. I'm imagining he's not like trimming his stems and like letting them grow out again. He's probably just like swapping them out every so
No,
often.
he does trim them. I mean, it takes a while for aquascapes to grow in and look good. You do go through a couple trim cycles just to
But
get, because you want them to branch and get bushy.
oh yeah, I guess so. Just
Yeah. So
thinking like
no, they,
he has this like he'll have better looking stems growing out in the farm, and then like sometimes those bottom parts get all leggy and scraggly looking.
yeah.
So you
Plus, he
swap them
has a
out.
selection. Like I've been
Mhm.
waiting for months to get Cyperus hellfry,
I
and
got
Stephen
it.
got some. Thank goodness, so he can farm some because I would really like this plant. And I've been looking for months for Blixa japonica. Can't find it anywhere. It's always out of stock. It's a plant I would really like, but I can't find it. But if I had 4 farm tanks going to support my 2 aquascapes, you know, I could always keep some of that on hand to use later. So
Hmm.
it is a nice thing. Plus, like, I think the benefit of having, if you are an aquascaper, you know, having some farm tanks gives you a chance to have some kind of like screw around tanks. Maybe you could have some different fish, or maybe you could rotate your fish too, because, you know, if you just want to have one kind of fish in an aquascape, you could pull them out of your farm tanks. Or maybe it would give you a chance to have things that fish that maybe aren't great in an aquascape, like they're not ADA, IAPLC type fish, but you just want them because you
Yeah.
like them. But maybe not Oscars, June. I would put Oscars in my farm tank. It's a bad idea.
Unless you're farming something very deep rooted.
Yeah,
Even still, they'll try their hardest to tear it up.
yeah.
So, do you want to talk about like how some of these get propagated? Like, so Bex was saying trimming stems has been the thing she's still learning to do correctly to get the stem plants to grow bushy.
Yeah, and you know what? That just takes time. Every stem works a little bit different, but generally I trim, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the way up, and then the next time maybe half the way up, and then 3/4. And every time you trim it, one stem branches off into 2. So that gives you a bushier look.
Theoretically,
And
sometimes
then
it
you want to
doesn't.
plant the tops in front of them, and that gives you kind of a more uniform bush.
Right.
And you can also take this is something I just learned from George Farmer. You can just take your toppings and you can just stick them in the bush, not even rooting them. And they will send out roots to kind of anchor them in there, but that gives you kind of a nicer bushy look too.
Yeah, you just
I've
like
never done
shove
that
them
before.
between there. Yeah, I've
Yeah, I've
done that
never done
before
that
too.
before. I don't grow a lot of stems. I don't really
It
like.
makes Rotala look really nice.
Yeah, and that's a big aquascaping plant. So
Hmm.
I have grown Rontal as a plant in the past, but now they're just not as much my thing. So longer plants, I think if you want to grow them out yourself, you kind of need a farm tank
Yeah.
like Stevens. I would have no hardscape in there unless you want to grow some epiphytes, in which case I would maybe have something simple and cheap, some cheap rocks or something to grow
Yeah.
out my epiphytes. But you just want a solid surface. And I think that if you're really serious about farming, you should put CO2 on it.
No, absolutely.
Because Berkeley says she just learned that too. That's funny. But yeah, you should put CO2 on it because nothing gets you mass quite like CO2. That's why this tank is a disaster. And I need to clean it out because it's got CO2 running on it. But there are other ways to propagate shorter plants. plants. And that's something that I did a lot when I was in grad school. And I haven't done since then because, I just haven't had the need to. But I have the top of it in here. I just scared Big Kitty. So this is the top. The bottom is a tray. This is just a grow tray. You can get these on Amazon.
Yeah. And you're going to do Monte Carlo in that?
Yeah, I'm going to do a whole tray of Monte Carlo. I'm going to do like Strogine repens. I'm going to do Eleucharis acicularis mini, which is tiny dwarf hair grass. Maybe a couple others. But it's really nice for those foreground plants because it almost makes a tissue culture cup. So I'm going to put some old UNS Contra soil in there, the stuff that I had in another tank. Spread it across the bottom, and I'll flood it just to the level of the top of the substrate. And then I'll plant whatever, not too thick. I'll spread it out. And I'm going to actually grow it outdoors because our weather is very moderate right now. But these have humidity vents in the top that you can, if it gets too hot, you can vent it a little bit for the temperature.
Gotcha.
But if you want to keep it nice and humid with this dome, that sort of keeps it like not exactly submersed, but almost submersed. And so they do adapt pretty well. And I've done this before. I've farmed like whole flats of, I did HC. There was no Monte Carlo back then. That's a newer discovery to the hobby.
Yeah, well, HC is a pain. Like I couldn't get that to just go straight.
It's a harder plant, and I've grown it. It's got tinier leaves than.
And people recommend the dry start for that anyway.
I've done it without. I think you just need a substrate that holds it pretty well. I really like this UNS Fine Contra soil. Holds plants really well.
Yeah.
So, but it's a little touchier. Monte Carlo is an easier plant, I think. Though Monte Carlo doesn't do well for you. So I think Kate, I
got to figure it out. I'm not giving up on it.
But I have had like full thick mats of Monte Carlo before. So hopefully I'll be able to get a nice flat of it going, and then we'll have all the Monte Carlo we need. So that'll be really nice. By the way, Zenny asked a question earlier about my tissue culture cups. So I ordered a lot of tissue culture cups, and they came in the day I came down with COVID. So a lot of them just died.
That would give me so much anxiety seeing those tissue cultures there and just like not having the energy to save them.
I was so sick that there really wasn't anything I could do about it. Yeah. But I was able to use them this weekend, and a lot of them died. A lot of them did die. The Monte Carlo, actually, those were all pretty good, but all the Alternanthera renickii and the Rotala H-Raw totally dead. So, but what can you do? I was so sick. I ran a fever for like 12 days. So
I don't have a lot, but I can send you a little bit of H-Raw, already submersed.
Yeah.
To send you storage anyway.
Yeah, we might do that. But I am going to be buying a bunch of tissue culture cups. I have a store in Indianapolis called The Reef, and they get Tropica plants, and they get really good tissue culture cups. They're getting a shipment in this week, so I'm going to have Jake just buy me a bunch of stuff. So.
I just sent Jake to the store.
Yeah, he's bought other stuff for me. He doesn't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colorado dryness sees your humidity dome and laughs. It's true. It is really
Hold my beer.
Here. We have pretty moderate humidity here. It's not. The weather's just been really pleasant. It's not too dry. It's not too wet. We get rain every week. I really can't complain.
All right. So stems trim low, and not as low, and then not as low, and then propagate. You get lots of tops from it. Okay, so what about something that doesn't grow so fast, like crypts? How do we
Crypt.
make more crypts?
I mean, you just make more crypts with time. I mean, I can't make crypts grow faster than I do. I mean, I could give them root tabs, could fertilize them more, blah, 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 blah. But you get more crypts when they're established. And that's why I can make spiralis really fast, because this
Yeah,
tank is very established. And that can take time. It can take
yeah, and I know some crypts will like throw off the runners, whereas other ones just keep
time.
growing like wider and
Mhm.
wider, and you
Yeah,
just have
like,
to divide them.
yeah, I would say like cryptocorn, loosens, the bunch just gets wider, and that one takes a lot of time. That's a slow grower, but man, it's not a good plant. Such a good plant. I just stole a bunch of the stuff that was in there
Mhm.
for another scape, my other scape. So, you know, just it just takes time.
Yeah,
And
I'm trying to
CO2.
make as much of that Nurii Rosen Maiden as I can. Like I will clear out a bunch of space just to get that one to
Yeah. I mean,
propagate.
that's a great plant to own. I would like it for its own sake. I don't think
Hmm.
it's a really great aquascaping plant, really, because
No,
but it's great in and of itself. And honestly, I am not usually an aquascaper. I'm usually a gardener.
yeah, I'm
I
the
like
same way.
things.
My
Yeah,
tanks, if left to my decision, it's just like plant, 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 plant. Get these
yeah.
rocks
I
out of
mean,
here. They're taking
I
up
do
room for
like a
plants.
little bit of design, a little bit. You cannot tell it right now, but there used to be a nice design here. Now it's a dumpster fire. But
And it'll look better again as soon as Bex gets her frickin'
oh, shut
60
up.
run. It's not her fault though. It's the state of Colorado taking forever
Damn it,
to
state of
give her that money.
Colorado. I need to trim my tank.
Yeah, me too.
So, you know, but I do like to design a little bit, but I'm more of a gardener. But this new tank, this is a straight up aquascape. I mean, it's got sand in there. I hate sand. It's got it's got a sloped substrate, it's got terraces, it's got tons of rock. It's super high maintenance.
So what would
Too
you
much.
tell Brookley to do with these 10-gallon tanks? Now we from the first aquascape contest, we were able to bring home a lot of stratum. And
Oh,
I don't know
nice.
if I took it all or if she has some, but like I have plenty for her. So she, especially for just 2 10 gallons, that's very easy. So what would you tell
So,
her to do with these for Chicago?
well, there's a couple different routes. So, can you set your CO2, split it with a manifold?
She'll have to get more, but yeah, that the well for one thing, the regulator that we got her has two on it already, and she's only
Okay.
using one, so she can.
Yeah. I mean, but I would, if you have a limit to how many tanks you can put CO2 on because you only have so many manifold spaces, I would send it to your bigger tanks. I would prioritize that. You could do a very, very shallow setup and grow foregrounds, because when you have water only, that high,
Mhm.
there's not much space for the CO2 to diffuse through. So you can have some success. Just want to put a grow light on it. You don't need a fancy light. I mean, I'm putting mine outside. You should not do that. It's too hot where you live.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, it's way too hot.
It's too
But
hot to even go outside and check on them.
yeah, but put a cheapo grow light on them. Nothing expensive. If Steven maybe even has an extra cheapo light, use that. Like a
I
cheapo NiCrew, like a 20-gallon, or like just a generic plant light. Doesn't even need to be a specific one, but cover it with a dome, or cover the top with saran wrap to keep the humidity in. And you could grow out foreground plants.
We
You could
both
do
have
that.
two brand new Fluval 3.0s.
Oh, so Berkeley has a seed propagation thing. You could use that
Uh,
instead, and then you could just have fun with your 10 gallons. I would try to put your CO2 on your bigger tanks. aquaponics, because that's going to get you the most bang for your buck, you know. And because it's also a lot of money to put CO2 on things. You know, those manifolds, they cost money too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like I have a spare 10-gallon right now too, but like I have manifold blocks, but like I don't have a spot to put that tank. Like I would have to run a CO2 line like from this wall to my kitchen table. Like that's just not convenient for my life. So I can't do that. So
So y'all have about 6 weeks ish, a little more than 6 weeks. So what realistically can be propagated in 6 weeks? Like you're gonna buy a crap ton of hair grass tissue cultures,
yeah.
which that the thing about hair grass, at least from my experience, is like it needs its time to sit there and do nothing before it starts propagating
6
again.
weeks is probably enough time. And if it's not, I'll just have the reef order me a bunch more. You know, this is just an experiment
Right.
to try to save me a little money. The nice thing is that those tissue culture cups, a little goes a long way. That's why I always recommend them to people, especially for foregrounds. They are such a good value. And the Tropica brand ones are the best. So if your fish store can order Tropica plants, not everyone can, but you can't buy Tropica online usually. I don't see them that
You can't
often.
buy Tropica from Boost Plant.
They always have UNS brand ones.
Mm,
I don't see many things from Tropica coming from them.
yeah, I've liked the UNS their tissue cultures. Like they burned me on one of them, a Monte Carlo that like I only had it a couple of days, and whenever I opened it, it was just mush. It's
They're
disgusting.
okay. I mean, the other problem is too is like the shipping. Unless your weather is perfect, they can get destroyed, and
Yeah.
that's a real hit and miss. I mean, I've had things destroyed in the winter here, so you know. Greg says I have zero patience for a dry start. Amen to that. I don't have any patience for it either. I've done it once, long time ago, long time ago, and I won't do it again. That's no fun.
There we
No.
go. We can just send Bex on an excursion to Aqua Rocks, Colorado, and she can just buy all the Tropica
Yeah,
plants there.
they don't sell them online though, but they sell them in the store.
Yeah. Well, she's
So
what? It's only an hour and a half, or I don't know how long.
that's such a nice store. I mean,
It seemed awesome. Looking at
I
the
just think
pictures.
that Tommy Ferragamo, great customer service. I mean, his stuff is expensive and it's kind of high end, but if you're in the market for that, he's great to work with. I'm very pleased. Aquarium Roots. Oh, that's so Fishymon went to this cool store called Aquarium Roots. He had some pictures up on Facebook and Instagram. And I think you had
Oh,
a video of it too, Fishymon, but I haven't watched that yet. Man, that store looked awesome. I am not surprised they had Tropica plants. I'm pretty sure
nice.
though that Tropica only wholesales. They don't you can't buy them online. So that was
Well,
a really cool store. It's like an aquascaping store.
that's so annoying. Why do they do that?
I know. They've always had the best plants.
That's like Aqua Vitro. You can't buy a lot of that online either. Aqua Vitro brand stuff.
Excuse me. But yeah, so Fishymon is lucky he lives by an aquascaping store. And I mean I do live 2.5 hours from a very nice, was it 2.5 hours? No, it's like an hour and a half from a very nice aquarium store. But I don't. I mean, I wish I had one right in my town. I'd just drive there and buy it. But it's hard for me to get down there. So,
So, in the 6 weeks that y'all have now, would it make any sense to try to propagate any epiphytes? I
I
know Java
mean,
Fern will grow pretty fast in CO2.
if you have CO2, yes. I mean, I already have a ton of Java ferns. If I just get some little rocks and glue some of them, I can grow out a lot more, especially the narrow leaf. That one grows pretty fast. Like the trident one doesn't grow as fast. The Windalove doesn't grow as fast. But the narrow leaf grows pretty good. If you have CO2 going, you can, yeah, you can grow, you know, bowling ball size clumps of Java fern. And other things, I just have to not trim them, like bulbidus. It's a slow grower. If I just don't trim what's there, I will have trash bags full of it by
Wait, you
then.
pronounce it bulbidus?
Oh, I don't know. I change how I pronounce it.
Oh,
Bulbidus
because
or
I say
bulbidus.
bulbitis, and now, I mean, it kind of sounds like a disease.
I like to say
I always second
bulbidus.
guess my pronunciations, though.
You can just pronounce things how you want. You just have to say it confidently. That's
Okay,
how Latin works. I'm very confident, but probably not correct.
that works.
That's
I got
right.
some cryptocore and wind deadeye. That's so wrong. Wind deadeye.
When did I? That sounds horrible. Because I think that the guy was his name was Went. So it's probably named after his name.
Yes.
Went. Maybe it was he's German, maybe it was Vent. But when did
Ooh,
he?
I could be
That
really
sounds
fancy.
Ventii.
Ventii.
I'm sure Crystal Castleman says it that way.
Nice.
She is. She's Danish. I can't remember. Anyways, Berkeley wants to get the Java Fern Trident Mini. That's a nice plant. I think it grows pretty slow because the big Trident one grows slow. I got to imagine the mini Trident so slow. But I know that Boost Plant was out of it last time I checked.
Hmm.
Oh, by the way, it's Süßwassertang because it means like underwater plant. And that little, it's not a regular B like in English.
Yeah,
It's
it
that
just
thing
looks like
that's
a
an
bee.
SS. So it's Süßwassertang, which I love to say.
Yeah, I don't say it like that. I just say Suswasser Tang.
I say Süßwassertang because it's so fun to say.
Tang, like that orange drink.
Jamie
Do we
Jakes
do
speaks
any
German.
immersed propagation? Well, you're about to,
Well,
right?
here's the thing. Here's the plant that you can immerse propagate. Anubius. Because I see no difference between submerged grown and immersed grown, and I see no melting back.
Yeah.
I have tried this. So what you can do is you want to get like a sterile potting medium or a gravel that you wash really, really well. And you want to get some like, or you want to get some like, you could use like some little chunks of like filter media, you know, the rings, the ceramic rings. So what you do is you take a chunk of Anubius from your tank and you want to wash it well in the tap because you want to get it clean.
Mm-hmm.
And then take a sterile razor blade and chop that rhizome between every single node. So you can
So,
chop it into a ton of pieces.
so one leaf per
Mhm.
rhizome.
And you want to keep, it's not going to be sterile, okay? But you can keep it as clean as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Handle it with forceps. Use a brand new razor blade. You could even sterilize the razor blade with like some rubbing alcohol and set it out glued to a fluval, like, ceramic ring.
Yeah.
And then propagate it in these humid domes. And
Like what you just have or something different?
just what I had. You could also use a jar. I've used a jar before. Don't have the brightest light in the world on it. Anubius doesn't need a ton of light, but that's a way you can start with a little bit of Anubius nana petite and grow it. Is it very fast? No. Is it a little faster than aquarium? Maybe a bit. But I see no difference in submerged grown and immersed grown in quality. That's one plant
Right.
that adapts really well. And that way you don't have to worry about CO2. If you grow it in CO2, it does grow a bit faster in an aquarium.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just doesn't hardly grow at all.
Nah, I mean it's almost like when you buy a Nubius, you want it to look as good as possible right out of the pot or wherever you're getting it from, because that's what you're gonna have to deal with and live with for a year.
Anubius nana, I think, grows quite a bit faster. And I have a ton of that right now. And I've given a ton of that away. I've given away very little Nana Petite just because, man, it's like $10 for a piece the size of
It
a
is,
quarter.
yeah.
And even with CO2, it takes a while to grow.
Yeah, I haven't given much of that away, if any. If I don't think so. Yeah, I hoard that stuff. I hoard all my epiphytes actually.
I don't hoard my Java ferns. I give those away all the time. And I don't hoard my bulbous either because I can grow a lot of that. So
Hmm.
Zenny says she's terrified to split her Anubius. They're huge, but I don't want to kill it. You won't kill it. Just snap it. Just snap it. And especially Anubius nana, it loves to be pruned. You can grow a ton more. Just
Yeah,
take that rhizome and snap it between the nodes. You only want to use a sterile razor blade if you're doing something crazy and chopping that rhizome up into tiny pieces. But just don't be afraid. Plants love to be divided. Think about how outside, like you dig up your perennials and just take a shovel and split them up. So, Stephen has.
yep. You sent me the red diamond and the fancy
Fancy
twist.
twist, and they've done well.
Yeah, they've done really well.
Yeah.
And in fact, like I'm, I need to see what your weather's like, but it probably, I guess, whenever I ship your shrimp, I'll go ahead and throw in the swords too.
Our weather here is very mild, so it's more dependent on you. I mean, I don't know. We could have a hot spell, but for now,
Hmm.
it's nice here. But yeah, so I sharecropped Steven's tank. I bought him some tissue culture cups because there were some swords I wanted, but I only wanted one of them. And so I think there were like what's four plantlets per cup.
4 to 5,
Yeah, so it was a good deal, but I just don't have that much room for that many big swords.
right?
So it was a good deal for all of us. So
Yeah, I mean, how much were those tissue cultures? Like 10, $15?
and yeah, I think $10 or $12 each.
That's
And
pretty good.
I would pay $10 at least for a mature sword,
Yeah,
anyways. And this one is submerged grown. And this way, Steven has all the other ones too that he can. I don't know. He probably keep one or two of each, and
maybe.
who
Well, we'll
knows?
see.
Who knows?
I accidentally, I moved the some swords to the quarantine tank after I redid the quarantine tank to put aqua soil and stuff in there and CO2, and then I got that wild blue pleco from Foxy, and I put it in there, and I was like, man, why is he not coming out to eat? Oh, or
Oh,
she rather. Yeah, she was eating. She
she
was
was
eating.
eating good.
It wasn't all the swords. I just had a few because like I needed to make some room. But yeah, I just have to trim
Those
some
little
things.
bastards.
Where?
Plecos. We all know how I feel about plecos.
Yep, just turning the sword leaves into poop.
Just ruining all your swords.
You know,
So
next
Zenny
10 days
says
are scheduled. Yeah,
she's Nana Petite and Coffee Folia. I need to split. That Coffee Folia, especially, like, have no fear. Just snap that baby up. I mean, no, have no fear at all. The only reason I don't split Anubius Nana Petite that often is because it's so nice to have a giant chunk of it.
yeah.
It takes so long to get
Because
there.
if you have little pieces of it, then you gotta make sure that they're like glued down pretty well or tied down well. You lose them.
Right. Yeah. But it just looks so nice to have a big piece. And it takes a lot of time to get there. I mean, and you can't buy, well, that's not true. Every now and again on Facebook, there is a plant quick auction. There will be Anubius Nana Petite come up, and a piece that big, it'll go for over $100 because people know, like,
Yeah.
even if you split it up, you know how much that costs.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've tried to bid on them, and I'm like, oh, I'm tired of bidding. Also, I have a bunch of Anubius Nana Petite. Maybe I should not spend $100. You know, should stop spending $100 on things.
Yeah, and then and speaking of red swords, so Lady Diane sent me red swords in with some fish. So I have red sword storage is like growing everywhere now.
Wow.
And
Lady
it's
Diane,
fun at first, and then they start to get huge, and you really gotta like make room
they
for them.
do. Lady Diane gets all the cool plants because she's in the
Hmm.
cool kids club.
Yep, that Maasai is a cool kids club.
That's for sure. She gets all the cool rainbows, all the cool Corys. But you know what? Lady Diane is pretty cool. So there you go.
I got to have lunch with her, me and Jenna and the kids.
Man, I'm
Triple Crown.
bad. I would
You
hang out
could have
with
been
her.
there.
Could have been there, but I was raging with COVID.
Yeah,
Even if I had wanted to go, I could not have gone.
yeah, that's true. Like you weren't even gonna go anyway, and then
Even if I
like it
weren't
just
a biohazard, I was so sad.
and if you didn't have COVID already, you probably would have got it from the Triple
Probably
Crown.
would have. Oh God, we have so many friends who got sick from that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
we got lucky, I guess. I don't know if it helps staying off site or just that I'm shy and I don't approach anybody. I just wait to be approached.
I think it's because you're so tall, all the germs were above you.
Nice.
You
Could
were just
be.
breathing different air. But that doesn't, and maybe Jenna, because she's very petite, she's below the germ level. None of that makes sense.
Sounds scientific to me.
Sure does. Oh, Diane's still long week.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh, it takes time. I still cough a little bit, but I feel so much better. Just it took a little just over 3 weeks. So Zenny says it's like an 8-inch rhizome. How many pieces would you suggest someone who's never split one split it into? I would probably split it into 3 or 4. I would just kind of look at it and think like, how many nice looking plants can I make out of that, and just kind of start snapping. Like, I wouldn't don't snap it into something that has only 2 leaves. That's not going to look great. But kind of look at it and think like, well, that would make a good clump, and just snap it. So I don't really put a lot of thought into what I do. I have a bunch of Anubius in there that needs to be split. But again, there's just someone in Colorado who needs to set up a tank. And so I've been hanging on to it. So Oinky sends out her love, thank you, and says she has a dumb question. Is there any plant that you find mystery snails cannot resist chewing on that are not dying? Well, I'm not a mystery snail expert. So, Stephen, I think I'm going to have to send that to you.
Like I'm a mystery snail expert.
Well, I don't even have them. So, I didn't think they ate plants. Am I wrong about that?
Well, I was going to guess exactly what Bex just said. That if they're hungry, they will anything that's like soft and small, they can get their mouth on.
Oh,
They'll at
yeah.
least
That
try.
makes sense.
So yeah, Kabamba, Limnophilus essiliflora.
So maybe if
That
you
makes
fed them
sense.
some zucchini, that maybe they would eat that instead. I don't know. I'm not a mystery snail expert. Have I ever had one? I don't think so. I mean, I should have gotten one when I lived in Iowa, because even with CO2 injection, my KH and GH were 22 or more, so they would have had plenty of minerals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ian says he's seen mysteries eat duckweed. Wow.
Even when they aren't hungry, they just
Didn't
like to
know that.
snack.
Well,
Yeah,
they
I
get
don't have
bored.
anything in my mystery snail tank that they've been snacking on, but I mostly just have Anubius in there.
I think if you had, Anubius Java ferns are a nice tough plant. I can't imagine them really chomping that too much. Maybe that's a good choice. At least with duckweed, if you like duckweed, it's so proliferate that even if they eat some, you'll make more. I mean, I don't personally want duckweed in my life, but
Well, I have
it's
it.
quite proliferate.
And whenever I send you plants, there might be a piece or two on there. So just give it a good rinse.
Well, I don't think it would propagate because I have so much surface circulation.
Yeah, I don't even worry about it in my in my tanks with spray bars because yeah, it doesn't last.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know. Annette, would you advise they feed their snails better? Would that help? I don't know. If you want to learn how to feed snails properly, Annette's a good person to ask. I'm not a good person. Maybe just in general, I'm not a good person, but I'm certainly not a good.
That escalated quickly.
Escalated. So those mystery snails, they are pretty though. What
Yep,
other
they are
questions?
pretty little shitty shit factories.
I didn't. Is another reason I don't want one. Then, if
Mhm.
they're like plecos with a shell, I don't want. I don't know.
Plecos with a shell.
Plecos
Yep.
with a shell, then no, thank you. I don't need that in my life. Oh, Rico, thank you. Foremost, Kelley.
So wasn't another plant that you wanted me or somebody to farm Juncus repens?
Yeah, so apparently they have tissue culture cups of that at the reef right now in Indianapolis. It's not. I don't know. I've never. I don't really. Brookley wants that plant. I have never worked with that plant. I don't really like the look of it that much. I know that it's a good plant to plant between your stems, so like your rotalas, to make them look bushier. But I don't know how important that is for competition, honestly, because they're never going to see these grown out. So, but I know
Yeah,
we
we
could
can
grow
make it.
some. We could get some.
I mean, if I can grow it out and make it look a little bigger, um, then it might be useful. The tissue cultures that we got for the 40 scape, I don't think there's any of it left in there. But I
Yeah,
got big fish in there, and they will just bump into it and uproot it, like tiny detail plants like that.
it's pretty small and it grows low to the ground.
Yeah.
Almost, it's almost like a foreground. I personally don't really like the look of it, but it is an aquascaperly plant, I guess. I just personally don't like it that much. But you know what? There's a lot of aquascaperly plants I don't like that I'm willing to use for this competition, like moss. I don't like moss.
Do you like Hygrophila pinnatafida?
Ah, that would be a nice one to have. It's a very useful plant in aquascape.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't really like the way it looks that much, but it would be nice if you could grow some. Do you have that?
Pinnatafida?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, we initially put it in the 40. It kind of disappeared. I just got some more.
that would be a useful one to have because it looks really nice, especially in like foresty aquascapes, I think.
Well, let's see if I can get it to adjust to the water. And right now it's just green. Like it hasn't like turned red or anything. It's just got it potted from boost plant.
So
So
Ian
we'll see.
says the Juncus repens can get tall and lower light, which does make sense. That's true of many
Oh.
plants. I don't know. Maybe I should have an open mind toward it because he likes it. Maybe I should. Maybe I should give Juncus repens a chance. I think it's native to the United States, which is kind of cool. That's. I mean, don't quote me on that, but it seems to stick in my mind.
So here's a little promo for Wednesday night Steamy McStreamy. Just might be something a little different than the usual that you generally expect towards the end of the stream. So yeah,
That's pretty
join us.
exciting. One more promo. Fishspam.link.
Yes, thank you. I forgot about it, which I knew I would.
So, everybody, I can understand if you don't have the money, but maybe you have Netflix and you never watch Netflix. So, you could maybe scrounge up another, what is it, $5 a month? Anyways,
I think so.
Matt is doing a lot of great stuff for us. For instance, he made an Android app right? For fishfam.link.
Yes, and the app is very reliable for notifications.
It's awesome. So I have an iPhone, but he's working on the iOS app. So that's awesome. But Matt, if he gets what, 12 more sponsors, 15 more or something,
Yeah, he has
Patreons,
38 Patreons. If he gets
50.
50, then he will buy a sponsorship for Fishtoberfest.
Yeah, and we want more people using fishfam.link because that's how they learn about the fish fam. And that's how we get more cool people. It's where we find about our streams. That's where we find out about events. It's the best website. I go to it every day. And if you use something every day, like I do, you should consider supporting it if you have funds. So
Indeed.
that's my plug for fishfam.link. So Beck says she's going to try Physidens in her 60. That is a very pretty moss. It does look very cool. I have grown it
Hmm.
before. However, I don't like moss. So I will not use it again. Moss gets everywhere. It attracts hair algae. I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. So, but it is very pretty. It is very pretty.
Yeah, it does attract hair algae, and I have bits of it in different tanks. And then if I don't like every water change, make sure that I'm cleaning it really, really thoroughly. It gets algae and it's useless, and that
Yeah.
happens to me all the time.
You know, one of the coolest things I have seen for moss, this is something MD Fish Tanks likes to do a lot. He takes like smooth rocks and he spreads the moss really thin on it, which is the key to growing moss, by the way. Spread it real thin, and he'll wrap it with cotton thread, tie it, and that way he has these little pebbles that he can take out and he can trim them in a bucket and fluff them really good, swish them to clean them, which clean moss is happy moss. And that keeps a lot of the mess out of his tank. I mean, that's pretty. And now you get these cool. It looks really good. You get these cool little mossy bushes.
That's
Maybe
exactly what Brookley had us do for the escape at
it looks fantastic.
in Dallas. Like we had little rocks, and she had Josh glue the moss to the rocks, and then like trim it, and then we put the rocks in like little like tiny ones.
Yeah, and you could do bigger ones too if you want bigger bushes. It looks fantastic. I just don't want to deal with moss. I just don't. But in this contest, I will deal with moss
Yeah,
because
there was a lot of moss in that winning tank
it,
that
yeah,
Grant and Shelby did.
because it looks great.
Hmm.
But you know, it has to be something that I'm willing to live with long term for a tank in my home. And there's a balance between the design and what I'm willing to maintain. Clearly, I'm willing to maintain nothing if you look at this tank right here. But because it
No,
looks
you're
like
making a sacrifice for a friend
this
because
is
I'm doing the
true.
same thing.
Well, also
It's
I had COVID and I didn't even change my water for like 3 or
uh,
4 weeks. It was bad. But, you know, there's always a trade-off, and I do kind of tend toward moss is not low maintenance in my opinion. It's not. Unless, I don't know, if you have a breeding tank and you just have moss growing wild,
yeah, it depends on what you want the moss for.
it's a different thing.
Like I got the Scuzzy tank for the Cory cats to breed, and yeah, that moss is filthy and it's full of hair algae and mulm and stuff. But it's doing what it's supposed to do, which is what it right now is breeding shrimp in there. But
Yeah, and it's great for that. It's great for providing cover for fry. And so that's just a different purpose altogether. But
yeah,
I'm not really a fish breeder except for gold Medaka rice fish. So if you live near Fort Wayne and you want gold Medaka rice fish, come on down. I think the metalheads are going to take a scoop. But
you should
I
just
have
see how
plenty of.
many that tub will support if, with them just breeding on their own.
I mean, it's quite a few, but in October, well, earlier than October, because it gets to the point where it's so cold, I don't want to deal with it. I have to
Oh,
get them out of there. I think I'm going to tear that down. I'm not going to, I don't think, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it going. It'd have to have a heater in it. But my
Yeah,
other
well,
pond has a
otherwise, what are you going to do with 1,000 Medaka rice fish?
I didn't think this through. Maybe I will put a heater in it. But you can still come and get some from me. I have plenty to share. So, you know,
You
maybe
can
Eric
put them
wants
in that 50-gallon rimless that you bring home from Chicago.
I could do that. I don't know. I'm thinking of just taking that and replacing the 40 breeder with it. I don't know that I want to have another big tank right now. Or I might just
Mm,
sit on it for a while because I might be moving. So
that's true.
I just don't know if I want to commit to another tank. Also, I don't like to have a ton of tanks because I just don't. I mean, CO2 tanks are more work.
Yeah, they are.
And, you know, I don't know. I do have a spot it could go. I gotta think about it. So,
Well, sit on it for a while. If you're going to be moving before next winter, then it
no,
probably
then I
wouldn't be
won't set
worth
it
it for
up.
you to set it up.
No, no, not at
If you're like,
all.
yeah, the next 6 months,
I mean, if
just
I
wait.
stick around till spring, then maybe I would, but I don't
Mm.
know. I mean,
Thank you, Austin.
I oh, thank you. And by the way, Austin, are you streaming?
He is.
Well, everyone should go visit his stream in 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Hang out with Austin. So,
I think yes. I thought I saw a thumbnail for that. Yep. Cool.
yeah.
So yeah, I gotta make room in this farm for the aquascape farm.
I know I've got to think about it too. I mean, because there are things I need to grow out. We all must make
Mm.
sacrifices so we can have sufficient plant mass.
Well, I gotta feel like I'm contributing in some way since I can't physically be there. So I figure I'll provide all the plants y'all want. I thought I would brought a lot of plants last time, and I did, but the problem is our plans for the scape completely changed. Once we got there, we couldn't use the hardscape that we brought. So the plants that I brought weren't really conducive to that. So I brought epiphytes and stuff. We used those.
Yeah. I mean, I think we just need to bring versatile plants because
Hmm.
I'm not going to plan for anything because I don't know what they'll have for hardscape. And I don't want to I think having a plan of a specific scape is setting yourself up for failure with this because I don't know what they'll provide. So I just want to
Yeah.
be flexible and have as many versatile plants as possible. And foregrounds are always useful. They're
Yeah,
always
for sure.
useful. And rotalas are always useful.
Yep. I mean, I've got rotundifolia.
And atra is nice. I mean,
Atra, yeah.
you can do a lot with that. You don't need every rotala under the sun. We're not doing a Dutch scape, but having a couple varieties is nice. So, and
Well,
having like
when
Java fern narrow leaf is super useful.
yeah, they had a lot. They actually provided a lot of Java fern narrow leaf, but you got to go wrestle somebody for it in the beginning.
I'm prepared to do battle
Good.
for the plants. I mean, but I can also bring a trash bag of it myself. I mean,
And you've
if
also
I just
got Jake
don't,
to punch his way through.
you know what? Jake is a lover, not a fighter. And turns out, I was a black belt in Taekwondo in college. I was a national champion in forms and sparring. So I'm Jake's defender.
Nice.
I know. He's there to move things. So this tape that I just set up, I set it up on the kitchen table, dry, so it's got, I don't know, I think 70 pounds of rock in it and sand, and it's a 19-gallon tank. And I set it up. I'm like, I don't know, you think you can move that? Like, he's like, yeah. He moved it for me. It was nice.
Nice.
He's like, yeah, that wasn't that bad. I think it was.
Yeah, unless he drops it accidentally.
He knows what he can lift.
Yeah.
Ed, you don't need to buy rice fish from me. I will bring you some rice fish. I have so many gold medaka. I would happily bring you some. If you want some in Chicago, I will bring you some. They're nice, the gold medaka. So you just
Yeah.
remind me and I'll bring you some. So
I have some Philippine Java fern too. It's very short.
yeah. I don't really see how different it is. Like,
Kyle is Gandhi.
that's right. Kyle's a lover, not a fighter. He's a lover, not a fighter.
I can be both roles. I'm more of a defender of other people.
You know
Is
what
when you'll see the violent side.
I am not good at being mean to people like in customer service. Cause like if I have to call to like cancel internet or something, I just can't. I'm not very good at being mean. Or if I don't like, there's a salesperson that needs to be worked over a little. I have to have someone be mean on my behalf. I'm
I
not.
can do that.
I'm from
No
Iowa.
problem.
We're not good at that. I guess Matt's from Iowa too. So not everyone in the state is like that. I can say that about Matt because I promoted fishfam.link. So
I have a breaking point. Like I can be very patient, and then there's just a point where I go from like super polite patient to like a nightmare, and
I'm
not
not
very much in between.
I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. But yeah. Jake works with a bunch of Italians and I'd like to outsource some of that to them.
Like, can you call my cable company, please, and negotiate a
Well,
lower rate?
his coworker Tony is married to Jackie. Are those not the most Italian names ever? Tony and Jackie. Apparently, Jackie, she had a contractor mess up something in her house, and she threatened to break his fucking kneecaps unless he came over and fixed it. I can't imagine saying that.
So I don't go that far because there's a point where it's like, sir, this call is being recorded, and now you're going to jail.
I don't have that in me. I don't have that in me.
Exactly what Rico said. Nice people choose to be nice.
Bex, you have to break up with a hairstylist. That's tricky. Because I have a hairstylist who's a genius, but a total flake. She cancels on me all the time. But she's so good. It's tough times. It's tough times.
Mm-hmm. I'd send somebody to break your kneecaps.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I need someone like that in my life because it's tough times. It's tough times. Well, speaking of times.
Yep. I think Austin's about to start it up. So, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in for another episode. Thank you to our awesome mods and our chatters and lurkers and replayers.
Super chatters, awesome people. Thank you. And we'll see you next week.
Righty. Bye.